business tips to successfully start and run your business so your business doesn't run you. And more importantly, we provide personal development tools to create a better version of yourself to provide the solid foundation for your life and business to stand upon. This is the Biz Reveal, and I'm your host, Craig Sawyer. This week's episode is sponsored by Sawyer Health Solutions. Protecting what's important to you is what's important to us. Get your free health insurance quote at sawyerhealthsolutions.com/quote. A business coach and author, Steve Preda is proficient in advising business owners how to make their businesses buyable. He explains how creating a buyable business is much different than making a business sellable, and established a complete proven system with simple, practical tools that help you build a self-managing business. After the show, learn more at www.tractionequity.com. This is the Biz Reveal podcast with this week's guest, Steve Preda.
I am a business coach. I work with medium-sized companies and help their leadership team come together and execute really well and paint a vivid vision that they go after and build a cohesive team so that they can work together and they can achieve the vision, because no man is an island. No one can achieve it on their own. We all need teams around us, and the more we empower these teams, the better we do, right? So that's what I'm all about. I love these companies. I love seeing them improve. I'm really excited when they discover the big opportunity that they can go after, and to be part of that and to part of multiple of these stories. It's a very rewarding journey.
When you first meet with a company and you're helping them create their vision, which I think is kind of odd that, you have an outside person creating the vision for the company. How do you go about doing that? What questions do you have to ask to find out what vision they want for their company?
So, first of all, I'm not creating the vision for them, right?
Oh, okay.
So they are creating their own vision. I'm just helping them articulate it, and I'm helping ask the right questions so that they can get to the right conclusions. So the vision is really made up of three elements. So the first one is it's the purpose of the organization. So what is the big thing that they are going after? What is the emotional juice behind what they do, and something that's bigger than that they're actually doing, which can get everyone excited. Let me give you an example. I used to work with a company which were really big in linen laundry, and the CEO once we had a peer group, and he came to the peer group and we were talking about purpose, and he said, listen, I have a big issue here, because what we do, laundering linen is really not a very fancy thing. It's
right.
It's actually pretty hard work. I mean, all these people, they are working in the steam room the whole day, and it's heavy. They have to lift these heavy containers of linen, and it's really a lot of dirty linen as well. And I have a really hard time attracting millennial talent that could take the business to the next level. There's a family business, and my dad is still around. He's in his 80s, and we are doing this together. But I'd really like to build a team, but I cannot attract anyone because it's not a fancy thing. So we started digging, and what turned out that actually what they do, first of all, they use environmentally friendly chemicals, which is really a very positive thing, whereas most of their competitors were using these toxic chemicals to launder. So that was a big revelation. And then it turned out we asked some questions about, okay, so what is it really that you're doing for your customers, the end users? And most of their end users were patients in hospitals and nurses and hotels. Okay. So the tourism industry. And what they got feedback was that it really gives people comfort and a sense of cleanliness and a sense of safety by having these crisp, white, ironed linens that they come in and they go into a hotel, and when they see these clean linens, it gives them comfort, and they feel like they are in a safe place, in the hospitals as well. So we turned the purpose around these two ideas, being a green company and providing this comfort to people who are sick or who are traveling and want to refresh, and they turned the purpose around. They created a really powerful purpose for the company. And then 6 months later, they recruited 2 high-powered executives on the leadership team, and the company never looked back.
So it's kind of like you got to find your strengths, right? I mean, and one of their biggest strengths that set them apart from their competition was having the all natural type chemicals as opposed to the really harsh, nasty stuff. And then, of course, the image that they put forth in front of their customers of, being really clean and sanitary.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's their strength. And so so one thing is the purpose. So you figure out what is your bigger purpose that you're really making a positive difference around you in the community. And then the second one is, what is your big goal out there? We call it, Jim Collins called it the big, hairy, audacious goal. So what is a big goal which is well out there? You cannot really logically get there. It's more of a big thing. We throw out the stick and then we figure out how we're going to get there. So big, hairy, audacious goal that everyone can rally behind. It has to be something that we can measure. As an example could be, Coke came up with this in the 80s, that they wanted to put a can of Coke within reach of every human being on the planet. So it's like a huge idea, but really you can figure this out because we have 7.5 billion people. So what does it take that you have a kiosk that sells Coke within reach of all those people? You can figure out how many outlets you need, and then how many bottles of Coke you have to bottle, and what marketing you have to do. So you can then reverse engineer, and you can get there. Or another one which I really loved was Nike said they wanted to crush Adidas. In the 70s, when Nike was still a small shoe company, and Adidas was like the 500-pound gorilla. And that's something that everyone really, okay, wow, that's unbelievable. How can we get there? And they figured it out, and they did crash Adidas. They overtook them in the market. So that's the big, hairy, audacious goal. And then you have the vivid vision. So like medium term, 3 to 5 years out, what is it going to really look like? So we have this big goal, we want to crush Adidas, but how are we going to get there? In the medium term, and then you paint this vivid picture of your organization, what it's going to look like, how many people, what kind of geographies, what kind of products you're going to have, what kind of structure, systems. So you paint this picture, and then everyone sees it in their mind's eye, and then they can work to achieve it.
So the vision is more of a broken down step of how they're going to get to that big end goal.
So the vision is it's about the purpose, which is really out there. For 100 years, it may not change. And then you have like a big, hairy, audacious goal, maybe 10, 15 years out, which is kind of your long term, not 100 years, maybe 10, 15 years. And then you have what we call the vivid vision, which is all the details. When you paint the picture of the company, it's not just the idea, but it's all a little bit the details. So every part of the company can connect to it, and then you can create your strategy that will take you to accomplish this vivid vision.
When it comes to the main vision, right? That overall, here's the streamline, here's where we want to go vision. Is it important for everybody on the team? Like if they have, whether it be 10 employees, 100 employees, 1,000 or 10,000 employees, is it important to have every member of the team on board with that same vision?
What do you think? I mean, what do you think, Craig?
I mean, I would think yes, but sometimes you have some of those lower positions that may not be as influential to the company overall, and obviously you want them to have a sense of that same vision. But do they all have to be on that same page? Because you're going to have a lot of different personality traits, a lot of different opinions. Is it important to sway all of those personality traits and all those opinions to that one specific goal? Or can you leave some of that open to interpretation to allow for some creativity to be able to maybe move towards that direction?
Mm-hmm. So you want to channel the creativity of your people, right? So this is one thing. When you have a clear target, crush Adidas, everyone understands, okay, this is the big goal, this is where we're going. And then all the people in the company are going to make their decisions in these terms. So they will see, they will translate it to their own job. So let's say, if you're an accountant, crushability means that you have to have a higher revenue and higher profit. If you are an operations person, crushability means that you have to deliver better quality, which means that you really have to make sure that you're 100% quality. If you're a marketing person, it means that you have to have a more powerful brand than Adidas. So everyone can translate it to their situation. And also, you want to give people the opportunity to be part of a big story. So if they understand what the story is, then they will bring all their energy. You can actually get them not just to do the job for which they are paid, but they will bring their creative energy. They will bring their imagination. They will bring their enthusiasm. They will have a pride. I'm working for a company that is changing the world. I mean, it's a huge thing for employees, and people are starved for this kind of stuff. They also want to understand that they are not just a cog in the machine. They want to understand how, what is the company doing? What am I a part of? And how can I contribute? And if they see the vision, then they can figure out, okay, maybe I can do something more to push this vision out. So it helps them be actually creative.
And that's kind of the direction I was going with that question is, do they still have a sense of individualism in that their specific job, their specific role in that actually matters? That's kind of where I was going with that. Or if they're just, like you said, you're just a piece of the machine. Nobody wants to feel like they're just a piece of the machine, right? They want to feel like they matter specifically. So they do have to have the same vision as far as the end goal, but depending upon what their actual job or responsibility is within that company, it's obviously going to adjust a little bit for what they can do to help get the whole company, the company as a whole, to that end vision.
Absolutely. And listen, maybe not every, and most likely not all of your employees going to resonate with that vision.
Sure.
And it's better for those employees to find another company that they can really associate with, rather than struggle in your company and feeling down and feeling negatively and not being able to push this. I mean, you see that not everybody wants to work for a cannabis company, right? Not everybody wants to work for a spirits company, because they may feel that they sell alcohol and that's going to ruin some lives.
Sure.
It's going to cause some fun as well, but it's going to ruin some lives. So whatever is your conviction that is the right thing, if you can associate with that company and the company is doing something that you believe in and you can be part of it, and that's huge. That's huge for people.
Yeah, and that goes down to just building the culture of the company. And I think that starts with hiring. So let's kind of switch gears slightly. And in fact, we kind of had a little segue there. Is building the teams for that company and building teams, it's all about your people, right? Everything always comes down to the people, whether it's the people that you're serving or the people you're working with that are doing the serving. So when you are doing that hiring or that team building, where does it start? Where does it start when you're trying to, make sure that you have everybody in the same group? They're all wanting to head towards that same vision to create the culture that you want to solidify your company.
Yeah, that's great. So it is very important. And, we often quote Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great and Built to Last. And he was one of the major management thinkers of the last 50 years. And he studied a bunch of 500, Fortune 500 companies, and he observed what the most successful companies were doing. And he said that the most successful companies, what they do is they make sure that they have the right people first. So the way he expressed this, he said, they get the right people on the bus, they get the wrong people off the bus, and then they put the right people in the right seats. So what that means is that you actually figure out what is the DNA of your company, what are the kind of people that you need. And the best way to do that is to figure out what your core values are. So what are the behaviors that your A players, your best performers exhibit that help the company to come so far, and articulate it, and then make sure that everyone understands these are our core values. And then you basically hire the people who fit your core values. You promote the people who fit your core values, and you let go of the people who don't really fit your core values, who don't behave like you want your people to behave. So that's the first thing. You figure out your culture, your core values, the behaviors. Whether it's being humble or being ambitious, being hungry, or doing the right thing, whatever those core values are. So that's the first thing. And then this is how you hire and fire people. And then the second thing is putting them in the right seats, means that you really understand what the functions are in your business that will deliver your vision and your plan. And you figure out the right people who can deliver on those functions, who have the knowledge, who have the experience, who have the desire to really execute on those functions, and who have the talent. So
I think it's also very important that you reevaluate very often. And by very often, I mean, maybe even quarterly, if you do quarterly reviews, because you're going to find out that sometimes you have phenomenal people, right? Which that's everybody's dream, is just to have an abundance of phenomenal people on board. But sometimes a phenomenal person cannot do a phenomenal job if they're not in the right role for them. And I think if you do a review often enough, you can learn that a person is not built for the role that you have them in. And you might learn that there's another role that would be ideal for them to actually flourish. So sometimes it's not, and I love that you said that it starts with hiring. It does, because you can't always change people and mold them into what you're looking for. So it starts with hiring the right kinds of people. But sometimes you don't know right off the bat the right position for them to be in. And you kind of learn that later, and you give them the best opportunity to flourish with the company and be the happiest that they can be while they're there.
Yeah, and a great example of that is often you hear about salespeople who are A players, A plus players, really killing it. They are really beating all their quotas and selling a lot, and then they promote them. Okay, if you sell so well, teach other people and be a sales manager and build a team like you, people a team of people like yourself. And then this person, when they become a sales manager, they actually fail because they are not a great manager. They really love selling. They want to be out there and belly to belly doing it themselves, but they're not good at holding people accountable. So they're going to be a B player or even a C player. And then what you did was you destroyed a person because they were in a great seat and you put them in another seat, and now they lose confidence and you deprive yourself of the salesperson. So it's really critical. Someone who is an A player in one seat can be a C player in another, or vice versa. And you want to help your people get to the right seat. And what it takes is you have to talk to your people. You have to mentor them. You have to coach them. You have to pay attention, listen, figure out what they are good at and where they fit in the organization.
Is there consistency in the methods after you get them on board, right? And we're talking after you've hired what you feel is the ideal staff. You've got a great staff in your C levels and management levels, all your staff, you've got the ideal folks. And keeping that team and building that team to be even stronger. Is there a consistency in the methods that are used from industry to industry to create that solid team, to keep them working together and aimed towards the right goal, to your end vision? Or does that, and I mean just the basics here, the outline, or will that change from industry to industry on how you motivate the employees and keep them involved?
So this is what, again, I'm going to quote Jim Collins. He calls it alignment. So you have to create alignment in your organization. You have to make sure everybody is on the same page and they are all rowing the same direction. So how you create this team? So you define your culture. You make sure you hire people that live your core values and you promote them, and you basically let people go who cannot live your core values. Then you create this vision. You articulate your purpose. What is it that you're going after? What is the big goal? What is the vivid vision? And when you share this with people, they're going to be all excited about it. Those that can resonate, if they cannot resonate, they're going to leave, and that's fine. So over time, as you keep sharing it, they're going to absorb it, and then they're going to be part of it. Pat Lencioni says that you have to say something 7 times before people hear it the first time. So it's not enough just to share the vision. You have to regularly, every quarter, you have to share the vision.
Sure.
You have to over-communicate it. When you are sick of sharing it, that's when people start to hear it.
Right.
and then you basically also want to have great processes in your business, because if you don't, then people will not know what they have to do. And maybe as a business owner or a C-level leader, you have a lot of experience, you have decades of experience, you have honed your intuition, you know your business really well, the industry that you are in, and you don't have to write everything down, and you think that's the natural way of things, that we basically just do it on intuition. But the people who are growing up in the organization, coming up, the young people, they have no clue. They don't understand. They don't see the big picture. So they really are starved for processes which will help them be successful and be much more effective than they can do without them. So you want to basically document what is in your head, the best way to do things. So, and in a simplified way, so that people can follow it and they can be successful. And then you can delegate, and then you can elevate yourself and focus on those high level strategic issues that move the company forward.
Sure.
You're not stuck in the day to day. Your people can take care of it and they will love it. You might be bored of running the day to day routine things because you've done it, been there, done it. But the people who are coming up, that's new to them and they're excited, and then everyone can do what they are good at, and you can build a company, you elevate yourself, you can make the company self-managing over time. So for business owners, that's a big thing because they feel like they become a slave of their own business. The business is growing, it's successful. It means they have to make more decisions, they have to be involved in more projects, and they feel totally burnt out. But if you build a team and you delegate and you create processes, and you keep everyone aligned and you attract the right people, then you can delegate everything to them. And then you can essentially just be that visionary person that we like to talk about, who is all they spend their time is figuring out where we're going, build big relationships, and making sure everyone is happy and you got the right team working for them. That's how you can grow a company.
I agree. And I think that I'm sorry, not to overtalk you there, but the employees do feel like the more that they are communicated with and the more that they know that they have certain responsibilities, they feel more important to the company. And that's what keeps people. They have many studies out that have shown this, that if they don't get constant feedback, they don't know how they're doing. It's not that they're being told that they're doing things wrong, or that they're being told that they're doing things right. They're just not being told what kind of a job they're doing. And that is a huge part of why people leave, because when in doubt, when they don't know, the unknown leaves their mind to work. And then they start thinking things like, the boss doesn't ever talk to me. He must not like me. They don't like the job I'm doing. They're going to fire me, and it's just simply that the boss just says, hey, they're doing a good job, so there's nothing to say. And that's not true. Yeah. They really need to get that feedback, the attaboy here and there. And it just letting the employees know that they are being noticed, and not just when there's a negative thing to notice. What do you think is the most common kryptonite when, to destroy a morale or to destroy a team? Is there a common thread that is the kryptonite that's just going to blow up a team, regardless of what you do when you're building it?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is that you mentioned that if you have a bad boss who doesn't care about you, who doesn't give you feedback, or doesn't pay attention, doesn't listen, and no one wants to work for this kind of person, and you will only have the least talented people stay around. The talented will go and find a better boss that will inspire them. So that's definitely can blow up a team. The other thing is when you have a bad apple. You have a toxic person that is unhappy for whatever reason. Maybe they're in the wrong seat, or maybe they cannot resonate with the vision, or maybe they have personal issues that they bring to the company and they project it out. And that especially coupled with scant communication. So if the leadership is not communicating what they are doing, so people are in a vacuum, and then you have a couple of bad apples, they start the rumor mills, they will create, they will make up the information that they are not getting, and that can really, really create a negative situation. So that's why it's so important that you define your values, you communicate your values, you mentor people, so you're always keeping your pulse on how your people are doing. You're there to help them remove obstacles so they can do their job. It's also important that everyone understands what their role is. I mean, there was some research done that 80% of people don't understand where the company is going, and then 50% of them don't know how they connect to it and what are the priorities. So it's really important that you set the priorities, you communicate the priorities, people understand what their roles are, so they can actually see themselves as a mini CEO of their function. So let's say I'm running operations. What I have to do is I have to deliver quality. I have to deliver utilization of my staff. I have to deliver product development, whatever it is. Or if you are marketing, you know that you have to generate 100 leads that can convert to 20 sales this month. Or if you're finance, you know that you have to close the books by the 5th of the month. So if people understand what is expected of them, then they can really be more autonomous. They can run their own function like a mini CEO, and then they can bring their strategic thinking, they can bring their growth skills, and it's going to make them much more happy, because ultimately we all want to self-actualize. So we don't often talk about this, but Abraham Maslow, he was a psychologist in the middle of the last century, and he figured out that he created a pyramid of we call it Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So There's a pyramid of needs, and people know that. So you have these needs of just being surviving and just having food and shelter and feeling to belong somewhere, and then feeling respected.
Of all the ways that we take care of those that we love, the most important is providing the care they need when they need it most. Sawyer Health Solutions. Go to SawyerHealthSolutions.com for a free health insurance quote.
And these needs, these are all essentially, he called them deficiency needs. If they are not filled, then you feel frustrated, but it doesn't really motivate people. It doesn't really motivate people to get a paycheck. If they don't get a paycheck, they feel nervous. What motivates them is the higher level needs, self-actualization. It's being in an artistically creative environment that motivates them. And how can you motivate people? You help them self-actualize. You give them a purpose that they can connect to. You paint a vivid picture of the vision where we're going, and then you give them autonomy so that they can figure out how they can grow themselves towards that, being part of that. That really motivates people.
Yeah, it gets them involved.
The right people. Craig.
No, it's okay. It gets them involved and makes them feel like they're part of the moving machine. They're part of something.
They're part of something, and they can actually creatively contribute. They are not just following orders. They can actually use their brain and their creativity and their enthusiasm, and they can connect to that, and they can contribute to it. And that's huge. And when you give people this chance, they're not going to leave you, right? Even if you're not paying at the top of your industry, they're not going to leave you, because they never know if they're going to find another place where they can where they can contribute, where there's a big purpose that they can be part of, where they can bring their initiatives. I mean, it's a huge thing, and those companies will have low turnover, and when you have low turnover, then people will actually create this knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge in people's heads, and when they leave you, they take the knowledge with them. So if you want to keep the knowledge, and we are in the low knowledge economy, you have to people stay with you for a long time. And that's how you can do this.
Yeah, and the people that stay with you for a long time, I mean, that's a gift. That if you can treat them well, keep them happy, keep them motivated, keep them challenged. Because another thing is sometimes when people just don't feel challenged, the job itself that they're doing doesn't evolve, or their responsibilities don't evolve. They don't ever get promoted up, or something like that. There's no opportunity. They get stagnant, they get bored, and they are looking for a new challenge. And that's another reason why people go places. So if you can keep them, obviously we all know that the biggest expense in business is turnover, because you're spending a lot of time, first of all, recruiting, a lot of time and expense recruiting those people and interviewing those people. And then you got to train those people. And depending upon the industry that you're in, training can take anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 years. I mean, to get somebody really, really fluent in what they're doing, and then just to start all over again and do it all over again, that's a lot of wasted expense and wasted time. When if you could keep those people, man, that's a huge value. So when you do all of that, when you build that team and everything's running like a well-oiled machine, you're making money. The products that you offer or the services that you offer are top notch. Your people are top notch. Your vision is top notch. Your motivation and drive is top notch. Now you're at a place to where you can either expand your business or maybe even sell your business, right? Because now it's worth more because it is producing such things. So I know one of your topics is making your business buyable. What does that mean?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So it is in purpose that I didn't call this concept making your business sellable, because of several reasons. One is that you can only sell a business that other people want to buy, right? So what you want to do is you want to make it buyable. It actually puts it on you that you have to figure this out. So, I used to work with entrepreneurs how to sell their business, and they always felt that it is up to their consultant or their advisor to make the business sellable. But if the business was not buyable, you cannot make it sellable.
Sure.
So this is one idea, that it's on you as a business owner to create a business that other people want to buy. And the second idea is, when you have created a business like that, then there's no reason to sell it, unless you want to retire, or you're sick, or you want to do something else which is more exciting, more compelling for you than running your own business.
So making your business viable doesn't necessarily mean you want to sell it. It's just making it valuable.
Exactly, because the businesses that investors want to buy are exactly the kind of business that you want to own, right? Because they want to buy it because they think it's great. It manages itself. It grows. It's profitable. It's gonna become more valuable over time. That's why they buy it. But if you own this business, which is self-managing, growing, profitable, and you have all these fun people around, and you can be part of this big story of building this business, and you don't even have to work all the time in there, then why the hell would you want to sell that business necessarily?
Yeah.
So that is the idea, making it viable, so that it also gives you options, because you never know what life throws at you. You might get sick. You might have to move to another continent, like I did, or you could be in an industry where it's being disrupted, and if you keep on running your business, it's going to go into the ground, even if it's a great business. So you're better off selling your business to a consolidator who is buying up all these businesses and disrupting it. And then if the business is viable, then you have the ticket, because you can take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, and you can pivot.
Are there differences between making a business viable and making a business profitable? Like if you're running a business, you have zero intention of selling it in the near future. You just want to build a strong, solid, profitable business. Is there a difference between what you're doing just to make a business a strong, profitable business, as opposed to making a business viable? Are there different focuses that you need to look at?
Yeah, it's a great question. So being profitable is part of being viable, but it's not necessarily. It doesn't have to be profitable necessarily. It might still be viable. So there are three major factors. It has to be self-managing, because if you, the business owner, are managing it and your buyer is relying on you to manage it, then essentially you're not going to be able to sell it, because it's still going to be, you're still
you're not part of the package.
And if you're still working in it, then you're not going to get paid out,
right?
Because the buyer is going to be concerned that if you leave because you're no longer motivated, then the business is not going to go anywhere. So they're going to tie you into the business, and you get some money, but you get paid over time. So that's not a good solution. So what buyers want is, they want a business that they buy, and it's got a great management, which is going to run it, and they don't have to be involved. They can if they want to, but they don't have to be involved. The company is going to be successful without them.
Okay.
The second thing they want a growing company. They don't want someone that stagnates, because really what they're buying is they're buying the future, right? And they are paying for the past. So if the future is the same as the past, then essentially they are paying what it's worth, and they're not going to get more value out of it. So they want it to be growing so that in the future it's going to be worth more, and all they get is the future profits. And then profitable. So the value of a business is really, it's the present value of all the future profits. That's the value of the business. So it's going to be profitable, and it's going to grow its profitability over time. Now, there are some exceptions, because you see some of these companies that are not profitable and still they are very viable, like Amazon. Amazon was not very profitable for the first 20 years, I would say. At one time, I looked at it in mid 2010s, and they were making $4 billion. They made $4 billion of profit in whichever year I was looking at. And then I also saw in the notes to the financial statements that they had $4 billion worth of unclaimed gift cards.
Oh, wow.
So essentially, all the profit was unclaimed gift cards. Essentially, they were not profitable. And the reason for that was that Jeff Bezos didn't want to pay out dividends to the shareholders. He wanted to use all the money to fuel the growth and to grow the company faster. And he got away with it because the stock price kept rising, right? So it wasn't profitable, but it was still super valuable. And investors often love those stories. And they say, okay, if you are in a space where you have to become you have a huge growth opportunity and you want to become the number one dominant company, then we let you spend all your money on growth and not be profitable. But because you're growing fast and we see that you have a future, you're still valuable. And
it takes
viable.
a lot more faith, right, to go into that aspect of it, as opposed to seeing the legitimate money right in your hands. It's there, the tangible money and profit. It takes a lot more faith to rely on, I can see what your end vision is. I can see the path that you're taking to get there. I'm on board, man. Let's do this. That takes a lot more faith.
It does on the surface. But ultimately, businesses are built by people. So you have to look at who is running this company, what is the track record of the person. And the way people deliver in the past is most likely how they're going to deliver in the future. So that's a really good guide. You can also look at the company. Is it growing? So if the company is growing rapidly every month, every quarter, and you see that they are in an industry of a blue ocean where they have room to grow, they are not, they don't have 80% of the market or whatever. They have a big market that they define for themselves. Then it makes you much more comfortable. And of course, the competition always counts as well, because if you have a company that is even faster growing and even bigger, then that could be a factor. But you've got Uber and you've got Lyft, and both of them are growing fast. But if there's a third company, a rideshare company, you might not invest in them because they say, well, we have already two dominant players. They're never going to make it.
Gotcha. Now, you do have a book, I believe, called Buyable, and correct me if I'm wrong on that. Tell us a little bit about what the book is about and how it would help the folks who read it.
So Buyable is a book that I've written based on the last 20 years. Essentially, I've poured my last 20 years into Buyable. You probably noticed that I have an accent, and I will never get rid of it. But this accent comes, I come from Hungary. This is where I spent most of my first 45 years. And I ran an investment banking firm. We were advising medium-sized companies, owners, how to sell their business, and we help them improve the business so that they become viable. So I poured my story of many of my clients into this book. I also poured my own story into it because my business, when we decided in 2011 that we want to make the move, we have 4 kids, my wife and I, we decided that we want to come to America. I was approached by a private equity fund, and the owner said that, hey, let's combine our businesses. You've got this great investment banking firm, and we have this private equity, and together we would really make a big splash in Central Europe and become the powerhouse, he called it. And I told him, listen, we're going to leave, but if you want to give an offer for a company, it's great. That's kind of good timing. Knock yourself out. Go ahead. And I have regretted telling this to him many times since then, because I did get the offer and it was very sobering. It turned out my own business was not viable. I've been teaching all those other companies how to make themselves viable, but I was a cobbler running barefoot. And it was not viable because I was in charge of everything. I was a CEO. I was getting the clients. I was a rainmaker. I had all the relationship with the investors. I was writing a newsletter, which was generating the business for us. I was on the cover of that newsletter.
The business was you. So if you weren't in the picture, essentially the business wasn't either.
Exactly. So the offer I got was that, hey, you've got nice furniture. We're going to pay full price for your furniture. We're going to buy all these fancy computers you got. But actually, the business doesn't have goodwill value. So we're not going to pay you anything for your projects that you have in process, because it all depends on you. And if you disappear, then we only have is the furniture, right? So I had to hunker down and make my business viable. I pulled my team together. I had great people, and I just had to empower them. So one of them became the head of the sales function, another one head of delivery, essentially the consulting function. I had a great finance person. I had a marketing person, and I actually appointed one of my colleagues to run the office. And we moved over here, and we got on this Skype call every Monday morning, and I traveled there every 3 weeks. I traveled to Budapest, and I went to Bucharest because we had an office there. And over a year, what happened was these people, they got really excited about having this autonomy and being able to run this function. And I could gradually pull back, and they were taking things over. So a year later, the buyer came back and wrote me a nice check and says, yeah, I want to buy this business because it runs without you. So that's what it means, Buyable. That is the other story that I share in the book. And and I talk about the seven management concepts. So when you create this buyability, then essentially what you do is you are implementing the 7 management concepts, which are behind me, and you can see them. So what you first have to do, you have to create the foundation for this business. And we talked about it. You have to get the right culture, the right core values, the right people on the bus and in the right seats, and the wrong people off the bus. So that's the foundation. That's your culture and your structure. And then you want to create the direction and define the direction. So there are 2 elements here. One is the vision, and the second is the strategy. So the vision is, as we talked about it, it's defining your purpose, defining your big, hairy, audacious goal, painting this vivid vision 3 to 5 years out, what it's going to look exactly so that people see it in their mind's eye. And then the strategy. So you analyze your environment, you formulate strategies, set goals, you figure out what the resources you need, whether it's people or money, and how you're going to implement. And then the third piece of the puzzle is the production. So how you're going to make this machine produce. And the 3 elements here is execution. Make sure that you set priorities. Everyone is focusing on the priorities every quarter. You make sure that you measure those priorities. You have a scoreboard, and you see whether they won the week or they didn't win the week. So every week, is it, a 4-2 week? So they had 6 measurables, and they hit 4 and they missed 2. They 4-2, they won the week. How can we get a 5-1 next week, but at least win the week? And how many weeks did we win in the quarter? So that's how you measure them. You make sure that there's a meeting rhythm, so you communicate with them. You create this peer accountability, because when people are in a team, then they're going to be accountable to each other. If you are the boss and you holding people accountable, they're going to come up with an excuse why they didn't do it, and you cannot refute the excuses. But when it's in a peer group, then all excuses are irrelevant, because we all have excuses, right? So it's all about performing. And then you want to create processes. So you've got the right meeting rhythm, and you are executing, and everyone has their objectives. You want to make sure that you define the processes so you do things more efficiently, and you improve things. So it's the Japanese idea of Kaizen, continuous improvement. You can only improve something that is defined. So you want to define it so that you can improve it. And then the last piece of this production is the alignment. So you have to keep people aligned. It's not enough. You have to tell them 7 times or 17 times. Just hammer it home. And it's going to be, first they're going to be skeptical. And then they see, okay, they realize that, hey, this is here to stay. And then they're going to get it. They really understand it. They're going to get excited. They see how they fit in.
They have to buy in. They got to buy into the idea and get on board. Yeah.
They got to buy in, or if they don't buy in, that's good too. They can go and find another company that they can get excited about. And you replace them with people who love your vision and love your culture. So,
awesome.
So that's it.
Steve, that's our time, man. I appreciate you being with us. If you wouldn't mind, tell the folks how they can get the book and how they can contact you and speak with you afterwards, or get your advice, or maybe even, obviously buy a copy of the book.
Yeah, so the book is coming out very soon. You can buy it pre-order on Amazon. So Buyable, your guide to building a self-managing, fast-growing, and high-profit business. So you can buy it on Amazon and at a 50% discount until as long as it's on pre-order. So I would encourage you to do that. And there are also online tools that you can use. So there is a tool. It's called the magicnumbercalculator.com. So you can figure out what is your company worth, actually with this calculator you can figure out how much money you need for your next chapter. So if you want to start another company, or if you want to retire, that's fine. Or if you want to do something else in life, what is it going to take you to get there? And your business is going to help you there. But you have to figure out the magic number. There's also another calculator called Value and Growth Calculator, which allows you to value your business now and what is the value you have to achieve based on your magic number, how you're going to get there, what is going to be your growth curve. And there's also a Buyability assessment. So it's called buyabilityassessment.com, where you can actually figure out the viability of your business around 6 areas. There are 40 questions, and you get a very clear picture of how you're going to get there and what are the drivers. Or you can, if you don't want to wait until the book comes out, then you can download the introduction and the first chapter for free. So if you go on buyablebusiness.com and you give me your email address, then I'm going to send you the first chapter, the introduction, first chapter, the contents pages, and I will let you know when the book hits the shelves, and you're going to be the first one to be able to buy it.
Awesome. I look forward to taking a peek at the book. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to day to speak with us and kind of teach us about culture, coaching the teams, and making the businesses viable. So I appreciate your time today, man. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Craig. It's been a great fun, and you had great questions that you asked. I always love it when there are good questions, so I don't have to bring all the ideas. You helped me with that, so thank you.
I'll try to make your job a little easier.
You did.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you for joining us this week. Go to our website at thebizreveal.com to catch all of our past episodes. We're available on all podcast apps, or you can watch any of our episodes on the Biz Reveal YouTube channel. I'm Craig Sawyer, and this is the Biz Reveal. Till next time.